I would be much more comfortable if my data is there for the last 3 years. I will be much more comfortable in predicting the next 3 years what will. If you're at the bottom of the pyramid of margin, then you just have to take anything that comes your way. $1 earned is $1 saved is $1 earned. See, AI, it's still evolving. Whether it is perfect, I don't think it is perfect. But maybe 5-10 years down the line, it should be perfect. Or it will be much more perfect than where we stand today.
Hello. We're back with the next episode in COPATALKS, the ultimate CFO podcast brought to you by Bluecopa. Here, we bring you unfiltered access to conversations with veteran finance leaders covering key milestones and challenges in their journey through stories. India is often considered the service capital of the world. One of the primary yet unnoticed contributors to this is the CFOs, who take the company profitable. We're looking at one such person today. Thukkaram Srinivasan is the CFO of Innominds, an IT service giant from USA. Prior to this, Thukkaram was the head of finance at WIPRO, where he took his business unit from 500 million to 800 million in revenue. Join as we speak about finance leadership, service industry, and everything in between. Let's go. Hey Thukkaram, super glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much to you, Guru, and to Bluecopa for welcoming me or taking me onto this podcast.
Lovely. So how about we start with you? The folks I think would want to know more about you, especially the ones that we don't know. So let's start with a quick introduction.
Yeah, it is. If you really go through my profile, you will see I have got varied experiences, varied industry, and every time I switch, it has been a different role, different industry. So which has really put the base on me. And I will start with my career where I started doing, first job for me was Mother of Courts. At that point of time, it was called Courts Vayala. They had an industrial trainee, trainee program, which I was, through ICWA chapter, I got into Mother of Courts. And the way it works in Courts Vayala or Mother of Courts is that every 6 months, people shift to a different department. So it gave me a very good base about how an industry works. Because when you deal with BCom or ICWA or CA, when you read, you don't know how the industry works. So this is the first time I really saw a ledger, a computer or a big accounting system which is there and each one does one portion of work. Previously, you will all be in bookish knowledge how to do BRS and things like that. But this was my real first exposure. And there were good managers who were with me and taught me how to rough through the whole thing. I was there for around 2 years as industrial trainee there. First 6 months I was in exports. Next 6 months I was in banking. Next 6 months I was in showroom accounts. And the last few months I was in internal audit. So that is my real exposure in the first one. The second company which I worked was for Asha Brown Brewery, where when I joined, I was taking care of imports department. From then on, I moved on. During this period of juncture, when I was in Asha Brown Brewery, I graduated as a cost accountant. I moved from being an imports guy to handling a finance controller for 3 divisions of ABB at that point of time. So it's been a superb journey, and if you ask me in my experience, whatever I have learned till now is majorly I have given credit to ABB because the systems are superb. The processes is something which you learn how the systems are there. Over a period of time, I have seen the positions have gone up, but the learning has come down. More like because manufacturing setup has an immense learning process that it gives you. And the way ABB works is each practice or each division or each business is treated as a separate standalone business. So, and if you see a little bit of history of Asha Brown Brewery, they would buy and sell businesses. And they account or they structure themselves basis that at any point of time they can just sell one portion of the business, get in one portion of the business, and they're structured beautifully. The intercompany accounts, inter-system, and their accounting software is so good that when you pass a financial entry, it passes the cost accounting entries also. Yeah, so that is the best thing about Asha Brown Brewery. From then on, I moved on to Lucent Technologies, which is more a cost plus entity, which is a part of Alcatel-Lucent right now. It is called. It's part of Bell Labs,
Yeah.
AT&T. So it was more like I was doing a dual role, a finance role and a non-finance role, which has got partner relationship, where we used to outsource jobs to TCS, WIPROs, Infosys of the world. Managing the relationship was part of my
GCCs.
portfolio.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, I wanted to move away from finance, so that what I realized at that point of time was that being only in finance will not give you the edge to grow line, and you need to know the bit
Yeah.
of business also. So then I moved. I was working there for 5-6 years types. It was pretty normal, cost plus entity, not too much of problem statements. Went on very smooth. And always you have this "Dil mange more" attitude, which says you have to do something different. So I then moved on to Deutsche Bank, D-Boy. So where I was the finance controller for D-Boy for almost 6 years, I've been there, handling purely back to only accounts, statutory accounts, internal audit, accounting, right from journal entry to the audit was my responsibility there. And moving on from there, I went to WIPRO, which I stayed for a long period of time, 11 years or so. And there I was a finance controller, business finance controller. At any point of time, I always was looking at one division as head of finance, one within a practice, one division or a practice itself. During the end of it, I was handling the consulting portion of business, which was there.
Correct.
So, and now, as you all know, that I'm part of Innominds, which is I head the finance over there right now. This will be my brief journey so far.
Understood. I think the next question sort of puts you at a very comfortable position, primarily because of your variety of experience across the service industries, right? To start with, what kind of KPIs or what kind of key health metrics do you monitor to ensure that your business is doing right, your business is doing healthy? So if you have to put a set of KPIs in mind, what would they be?
See, in a service industry, end of the day, what really matters, in theory, there are hundreds of theories that you want. What really matters is I would say, as a service industry, more being in a software, I would look at contribution margin as the one key factor that you have to look at. So that is the way, like any manufacturing concern, if you see, manufacturing concern would be cost of goods sold is where they would really look at. How much of cost of goods sold is the primary. The rest all remaining is more or less stagnant. So similarly, in a service industry, equivalent of that, I would say, is contribution margin. By definition, I would say revenue minus the people who are billed currently, the cost of them is contribution margin. Remaining, that would what would pay for your overheads, right from bench to financial services, sales and other things. That's what is there. As long as you can look at that one key parameter and make sure that that is in a steady state of line. You always have to look at other parameters also, your debt ratio, your liquid ratio, all those things. But I would say the key factor is...
So the higher the contribution margin, the better the business.
Absolutely. It's clear, straight cut. And that is your... it's a straight cut, right? If your business is doing well, contribution margin will be doing well. And accordingly, you can see the remaining is all structural. You can really make sure that you want a salespeople to be 1% less, 1% more, depending on the forecast. Your other services bench, you can always decide. But what you can't decide is what the customer is giving you, how many orders, what are the people that are working, and what are the kind of quality people that you will work. Those are ones. And in a service industry, the other thing which you need is a pipeline, beautiful pipelines report or this one, where you need to see what is your forecast of things coming through. And even though I'm a finance person, I would look at what are the top 5 skills that in a pipeline report, which is the future that people are asking for. So I need to always imbibe as a service industry to make sure that I put my money into those 5 skills and train my people up. But tomorrow when the real demand or real soon happens, I need to be ready. I need to not restart the cycle of hiring from outside. Then if you don't do that, then you have to start from outside, and you will easily spend 10 to 15% higher cost than what you are in-house.
True that. Agreed. Great. So India has always been, a service delivery nation. So we've done a lot of service delivery over the past 20 years. We started as a service delivery business. back office, product support, and so on, and then evolved into a product nation. We've now have a lot of software as a service businesses, technology businesses, fintech, prop tech, edtech, everywhere, right? Now, with this evolution, there are a lot of guidance in terms of how to scale or how to handle finance for a product business. But going back to the roots, right? For a service business, what are the fundamental financial challenges a CFO comes across, and how does he or she overtake it?
See, in my role as finance controller, I've been doing services, I've been doing products. Products is a different ball game of things. You have to really understand the psyche of how a product works. You need to know the product life cycle. You need to understand see, today in the service industry, it's simply if the person is billable, you get money. If don't billable, you can just move more text. That's how it works. But product is not like that. You need to know the entire cycle of it. You need to plan for it. This is my finances. This is the kind of money I'm going to invest. This is the amount of checkpoints I will keep in every stage. And generally, when we approve any product investment in any of my role, I mean my current role also, what I really look for is what is the end result of it. If I'm going to invest for 1 year, let us say $1 million, am I getting my real worth ROI at the end of the day? I need to really work as an entrepreneur to understand the cycle of it, see at checkpoints. Even I cannot just leave it at the end of the year. I'll evaluate whether the product is doing well or no. At intermediate points, I should have a checkpoints to see how it is being done. So, and that is like it requires a long-term view of the whole project. Services industry is more like a short term. Tomorrow I know what's happening. Next 3 months I know what's happening because I know I have my orders already in hand. Products again is like once you click, your product clicks, you'll be on a fly. But if the product or you're developing, if you don't read the cycle of the market properly, then you will never be able to recover that money which is there. So very important before you invest any money into product to really know the market, know the trends, know the wants of people, customer to take it.
Got it. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask a difficult question. So what's difficult, being a CFO of a service business or a product business? Don't say being a CFO itself difficult by default.
That is given, so I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I would say like this: being part of a product business is much more difficult than being a services industry because the lot of parameters that is there which is beyond your control. In a services industry, many of the parameters are within my control, except for the order portion of which the customer is going to give me, depending on what my skills are. There are so many parameters which I can take a call on managing things. But product is too much market dynamics which is involved. And for all certain, even the experts could go wrong in how it is being taken forward. And if you get it wrong, all the money is down the drain. So, and if you get it right,
you're on top of the world. Got it. So I just want to double down on one point you mentioned, which is, it's comparatively easier to predict or forecast the projections of a service business, right? Over the course of your response, you mentioned it. So just zooming into it, what kind of efforts are you folks making in terms of getting this done? Or not even folks, right? Just you. How do you generally forecast and how do you get it accurate or at least to a precision where it's easier for you to determine this is the growth?
For the short period of time, like I told, pipeline is the important report. Over a period of time, if I have a consistent pipeline data for the last 3 years, 4 years, if I have the data, 3 years is a very good data. I know exactly what will my win ratio would be. I would know exactly what is the kind of skills that is required. So I can predict going forward to a certain degree of extent. I would be much more comfortable if my data is there for the last 3 years. I will be much more comfortable in predicting the next 3 years what will happen, or next 2 years. For a year it's given. Next 2 years, depending on too much technology changes are not there, I think it's much more easier to run through. And if you're into this, either a SaaS business or into a maintenance shop, that much very easy to because your contracts are for 3 years,
Yep.
5 years, more than 1 year for sure. But if you do agile business within software, where like in the process that where we are into more into product engineering, it's like a product which is being done. After that, you
Yeah.
don't know. If the product clicks, you are into business. The product doesn't click, then you have to
Yep.
start all over again. So within services industry, there you can classify something which is a product engineering is a different line where it goes to do with the product also, which you're rendering
Yeah.
services for it. But for a other pure services, I think it's much more easier. When you have a product and other one, it's little difficult to
Understood.
take a call on.
Got it. I think that's well put. So any business, I think cash flow is the king. Cash is the king, which means cash flow is the most important parameter. Your contributing margin also is a lagging indicator of having how good a cash flow it is. Right? So for a service business, where the revenue is not as consistent as a product business, because in product business, basically a software, a commodity you sell month on month, targets, revenue incoming, collections, cash flow, and everything. For a service business, it totally depends on the kind of clients or the projects that you come across and so on, right? So it's slightly less predictable compared to a product business. So for a service business, how do you manage cash flow? What's the best practice towards that?
See, there is nothing I would say very different that you have to
Okay.
follow as a finance person or as this one. What you have to ensure is, like I told, it is the moment you ensure your contribution margin, like you know that you're going to get your cash flow, which is there in place. What it decision making is to told is what is the capital investment, what is the investment into other projects that is there is a call that you will take depending on the cash flow management. But I think between a product and a services, the process of cash flow management I don't see is too different actually. But the decision that you take is different. And like you rightly told, products, you will have a steady growth or a steady
Correct.
degrowth. But services can go in one day, just like that. Means if one fine day, someone can just pull the plug and next 30 days you're out of
Yeah.
the sun. So it works both ways in services. But in manufacturing, people cannot just pull the plug in one day. It's both ways difficult.
The volume of the business is, though the quantity of business is low, the scale at which you're solving for it is much higher. So got it.
Absolutely, absolutely. See, even if you take any software product, also, if you take any application of SAP or anything, you just cannot ship it out one day, shut it like this. But a development of anything can be shut down in one day. One decision at a call can be done.
Got it. Great. So a follow up on this. Again, product business, by virtue of having a constant pricing, is also easier to predict. But for a service business, each time the quote is different depending on the intensity and the volume of the project that you get. So how important is pricing as a lever in terms of profitability or any other financial health? And how do you go about determining it?
See, it is very important pricing in a service industry. Okay, it depends on your cycle where you are. If you are absolutely cash rich, you have the best of things that to do. You can have the leverage to price it higher or command more prices. There are two factors which always run. One is the customer way of looking at it. One is the internal way of looking. I'm right now telling it an internal way of looking at it. How whether I can ask for higher or no depends on exactly where you stand in the cycle of it. If you're at the bottom of the pyramid of margin, then you just have to take anything that comes your way. $1 earned is $1 saved is $1 earned to that extent. If I get $1 from a business, I'll simply have to take it. But if I'm the top of the business, I will choose what I take, which technology I need to work, which process I need to, which customer I need to work. So that gives you the leverage. In that sense, when you're at the bottom of the things, I will just work with even maybe, let's say, for example, 5-10% contribution margin. But if I'm at the top of the one, I may not work with even 35-40% or 35-40% of contribution margin. So it's a cycle. It's a process that there's no one good rule or one set rule that this is the way I will follow. You'll have to manage that. You should know the business dynamics that you are where you are there in the business dynamics. Accordingly, take calls. Simple. If some businesses is going in not doing so well, then even if you recover your cost, means adding to your bottom line.
Got it.
So it works both ways. It is not a simple yes
Yeah.
or a no answer, but it has to be decided based on the market dynamics, your situation which is there.
Primarily the
It's
business
not an easy
dynamics, like
answer.
how are you serving it, what kind of projects you get, and how the market receives it. Perfect. Got it.
Absolutely.
Great. So now again, it's more like a follow up to the previous discussion, which is you over the course of discussion, you mentioned that investing in terms of upskilling for the folks of the team in one of the predictability metrics, right? So now investing in such a growth as opposed to having higher contribution or profit margins, right? How do you strike a balance between these two, especially given that you're in a service business?
Very good question. So that striking of the business is also a call when you see something like today. Do you want to invest in AI? Everyone is talking about AI. Okay, so it's a call that you have to take. Are you in a position to invest the time and money in it to grow? So it's a call that you have to take based on your circumstances and the
Yeah.
market dynamics which is involved. Where in the life cycle of it you're entering at the start of it, it's easier to scale up along with the industry. But if you get into somewhere into the middle of it, I think it does not make too much brainer because there are already too many players into the whole
Agreed.
system. So, again, sorry to give you a yes no answer, but I think it's too much of a market dynamics that really plays in
Yeah.
the system to take a call.
No, I agree. I actually wanted to know how close could we get to a response. Ideally, what I was looking for is what kind of thought process do you have generally about such critical decision pointers, because that helps our audience to know how to make the decision.
See, that is where when I get onto a call or get onto the business decision that some things happen, I will start off with
Yeah.
market dynamics, market outlook, and how much we can uh, play a role into that system. Once you know that, it's easier to
Yeah.
take calls. See, always there are opportunities. I will have an opportunity A, opportunity B, opportunity C. I'll have to put the parameters of A, B, C together and see which is my best option of
Yeah.
getting me return. As a finance person, end of the day, I would like to look at return, not at anything
Absolutely.
more. But yeah, so end of the day, like you rightly told, cash is king. If you have the cash,
Nothing like it.
superb. I would also say, yeah. So George did the second that. So we get the money in.
I get it. I get you are a fan of Bollywood, is it? You've mentioned a couple of movies by now.
And I'm definitely not a fan, but I keep using these phrases to get or drive home the point to make.
I think you succeeded in that. Given that we're in the topic of profitability, what are some profitable businesses that you follow or you look up to in terms of how do they go about or how do they operate, and what kind of key business lessons could we get out of them?
See, one general knowledge is if you're talking about industry, okay, you have to be in an industry which is generating cash. It's that way. If you cater to any industry which is generating cash, it's a lot easier for you to sell. It's a lot easier to sell, and the value that you get to yourself and to the customer
Higher.
can be higher. See, end of the day, we have to ensure. I'll give you an example. Okay, today, if you see, I would say pharma is a business which is never dying
Yeah.
down. As a business, it will never die down. As a worldwide thing, and it has got so much pricing power. Pharma industries have so much pricing power. They can price anything at any value, and especially if you see in America or anywhere else, you will know the value of a medicine or this one is just
Yeah.
too high. So that gives them the reach to do a lot of R&D. It
Yeah.
works both way. If that reach was not there, or this one, they wouldn't have invested in the 10 project that they're looking today.
Correct.
And for me, as a service industry, if I can bridge my strategy around
Yeah.
pharma and allied, I will definitely be in a much more successful than maybe a person who is any industry which is struggling to meet
Got it.
both ends.
Got it.
So I would say first your strategy should be which is the industry that is they are making money, only then they let me
Correct.
make money. That's a simple philosophy I try to follow. See, not that I can always concentrate on pharma, but I would prefer to spend a majority of my time on pharma business because they are making a lot of money right now. And you take fintech, there are a lot of fintech companies. How many of them are really making money? I can cater to them, but then they will beat us down if I provide services to them. Because if they are making a lot of money, yes,
Understood.
they will definitely give value for what I
Offer. Yeah.
provide. But otherwise, they'll have to work within their own system of seeing where they can play along. But pharma, I don't have to really beat them. They know they have a lot of money. They would want value as long as you are able to give value for whatever they ask. I think I should be in a very good position.
Got it. Just a follow up here. Even if you have a lot of competition, it's still better to go for a cash cow business like a pharma as opposed to a fintech. Even there is very less competition because the piece of pie that you're taking is very smaller.
I would say yes, generally. But see, there is not like you make a portfolio. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You will have to put a split of businesses and see where you put your money. If you have 100 rupees, maybe I want 30-35 rupees to be put in pharma. And maybe 5 to 10 rupees, I will want to put it in places where I potentially think it could. See, fintech today, everyone knows it could be a potential multi-bagger down the line. I could really, if I put value to that, maybe 5 times, 10 times, you will get value in maybe 5 years, 10 years. But if I grow along with the company will ensure that I be along with them and take their portion of the pie, some portion of the pie to myself also. So it works both ways. But that is where I want to put majority of money in where there is cash flow is there. Some portion of the money into businesses where I think there are potentially they could do well in the market. See, what is today pharma? Frankly, I don't see pharma coming down industry-wise. Tomorrow down the line, 5 years, if everyone is healthy, everyone is good and this one, I don't think pharma has a big role to play then. Then there will be something else which is there. And you take gaming industry. Gaming industry is also growing like nobody's business. So if you can really make things happen in gaming industry and put your focus on those, it makes a lot of sense, right? Right now, they may not be making too much money, but they have potential to make money.
Got it. Yeah, the margins keeps increasing.
Absolutely. Once you get hooked onto it, it's like once you get hooked onto it, then you don't live it. It's like, what do you say, gambling. Once you get into something, you will not come out of it. So the base keeps growing.
Once you have that winning mantra, then you just want to keep going in and in, not come out.
Yes.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Given that we are in the trend of AI and a set of other futuristic technologies, a set of businesses getting impacted, what are some trends that you're foreseeing especially in the finance space for a service industry?
See, AI, it's not built generally for a service industry. It's built for everyone. From a finance point of view, where I see is all these mundane tasks of repetitive tasks where we have our robotics, RPA also, which is there. And we will get AI to do majority of the things. See, today there are people in the ground. I have seen or I've heard that if you give 5 company reports to feed the AI with 5 company reports, it will draft you a summary of comparison of it. So what becomes is you become today, if you see over a history of when computers to know, previously we were writing bookkeeping, where we used to write ledgers. Majority of my time used to go into bookkeeping, keeping the right numbers, tallying it. That used to be the first job people used to do when any books is given, whether the trial balance is tallying. Today, no longer anyone does that tally. It's a given standard that trial balance should tally. It cannot have. There is no software that which will make sure that trial balance is not tally. It's not a number one criteria. what I have graduated to is to do more analysis of what the data is showing. Where is that I'm spending more? Where is it I'm spending less? Where is that I can increase something which can help the business? These are factors which I get from the data which is there. What I'm saying is you will stop doing less and less mundane tasks, but where you will spend more time is more value-added tasks which are there. And today, if you see from wherever computers have come to right now, the people are still the same. Means there will be people in finance that no one can take out the human brain out of the equation. What will help is the summary view, like I gave an example where the reports of the companies are there, where you get you analyze on your own, and instead of maybe previously 3 people doing it, maybe one person, other person can finish the job, and in much faster time. Previously it may take 2 days or 3 days to do it. I say in half a day you can get a report, and which will be much more accurate. It takes out bias, it takes out any emotion out of it, because it's a system. Whatever you put into the system is what it will give you.
Yes, at the end of the day,
so it is very
it has no affinity to any business. It's about truth.
Absolutely. About whatever garbage in, garbage out. Whatever data goes in is what you get it.
So data, having the right data to get your decisions, to get your system, to get your trial balance to match each other is absolutely important. I've been hearing this from all the CFOs that I talk to. Garbage in, garbage out is like a term that's common verbose today.
Yeah, because if you see, many people will start telling that, boss, my system reports are wrong. But the system doesn't give you wrong report. You put in wrong data, or you defined it wrongly. So maybe you entered it correctly, but you defined the report wrongly. System will just do what you have told that system to do. So I think that's a phrase which keeps coming, because it's easy to say that your system gave me a wrong report. But then who defined it? Or who made the structure? Who input the data?
So the rate of error is still higher in terms of how we define things. So we should get better at prompting.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you don't define your parameter correctly, it's gone. Like maybe I always keep telling this, that an algo trader, he defines the parameter wrong.
Yes.
So if he does it right, he may make a lot of money in a short period of time. And because what an algo trading does, or what a system does to you, is it multiplies the error, or it multiplies the benefit much faster rate than what a human can do. So both ways it works. It just speeds. The speed is the king. So in that sense, it just elevates both pain and pleasure.
Well put. Loved when you mentioned that, generating summaries, automating the mundane tasks are really great use cases for AI. Anything else that comes to your mind that's already happening today, or that's something that, finance businesses can leverage in terms of AI?
So in that sense, see, AI, it's still evolving. Whether it is perfect, I don't think it is perfect. But maybe 5-10 years down the line, it should be perfect, or it will be much more perfect than where we stand today. Today, if you go to any chat GPT or the kind of questions that you put, gives a different answer to almost the same question. So there are things which are being evolving. I'm sure people who are working on chat GPT or things AI and all that will try and fine tune to a certain direction, that even if you put a question in a different way, you will get the same answer or similar answer. So things are evolving, but whether it is today it will happen, may not be. It will, like I told, the people will be there, a little less people, maybe 10-20% less people, but the people who are there should change their skill levels to than doing accounting to analysis, like we did over a period of time. We were more bookkeeping, less analysis. Now we have shifted from there to more analysis and less bookkeeping, because bookkeeping today, anyone you take from BCom, BSc, anyone graduate, and tell them to go account these entries in a invoicing or payables in a certain way, they will do it. you don't really need a debit credit knowledge to really be a person on the ground to enter
Yeah.
data into that. And today there are systems which, if you just put an invoice and a purchase order, it will automatically match to the purchase order. It will automatically pass entries also. But all you need to do is press enter, check it, enter, because it could be wrong. That potentially it's not perfect, but you still need to press enter saying it is
Yeah.
correct. You need a person to do that still. You can't take away that
Intelligence
human
out of the
portion of
equation.
it.
Perfect.
Yes.
Great. I think that's a well summarized end note for the discussion. Thank you very much, Thukkaram, for taking the time and having this conversation with me. Had a really interesting chat about service business. Very intriguing that I might want to start something one day. But yeah, again, I'll look for an industry like pharma or something that's that's generating a lot of cash. So feedback noted.
Yeah. Thank you. And at that point of time, you don't know which business is making
Absolutely.
a lot of money. So
But I think health is going to be a cash making industry for long.
I keep telling, yes, there are two businesses in the world which will never stop. One is the pharma. Second is the essentials of what we
Yep.
eat
Yep.
and thumbs like this. So that business will never have a
Indeed. Yes. Yes.
downtrend
Got it.
until the whole human population as such
Which is
degrows.
also highly
Okay,
impossible.
that's a
Yeah.
long way off.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a long way off. It may happen in a very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
long way, but till such time.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you, Thukkaram. You have a great and lovely day.
Yeah, same to you. And thanks for
Yeah.
catching up with me and putting me
Bye
onto
bye.
this. Thank you. Bye bye.